Hello YouTube, welcome to another diary entry on Adrian's Tech Base. We are going to be following up on the £20 PC build. Last time around we had a look on the AMD system, today we'll be looking at the Intel one. If you have not seen that video, essentially the premise is that I bought a set of PC parts for 120 zloty. The first bit of it consisted of FM2 motherboard, Athlon X4 860K CPU, 8GB of RAM and a GTX 750 Ti low profile, which we had a look at in the previous video. We are going to be having a look on the second part of the set. Once again, these bits cost us effectively 60 zloty, as half of it was that part. We will be ghost picking once again an HDD for 20 zloty and a PSU for 25 zloty. That puts us at a total price of 105 zloty. Just like last time, we will not be adding cost of the case, as there is enough of them being given away to find something nearby. So what did we actually get? Well, let me surprise you. We start with the motherboard. It's an H81M motherboard from MSI, which is great news. This means our CPU is going to be Intel as well. For RAM, we have again 8GB stick, which is great, albeit it's a bit less fancy without the heatsink. The GPU is a GTX 750 Ti from Palette, so essentially the same as we had with AMD setup. And most importantly, the CPU, which is i5-4570. This is way beyond my expectations. I was thinking we are going to get some Pentium like G3258 or maybe an i3-4170, but this is much better. This i5 means we have 4 real cores, decent IPC still, and honestly a really capable system. The only downside to this system is lack of overclocking. The most basic chipset means we do not get the cool features, but of course it's not a big deal. The CPU has a locked multiplier, so I just made it run at its maximum 3600 MHz. I also decided to run all the benchmarks with the GPU already overclocked to the maximum, which is just like last time, plus 163 MHz on core and plus 300 MHz on memory. We will rerun the same benchmarks we did on the AMD setup so that we can compare the two directly. Although I can tell you right here, the Intel setup will be leaps and bounds better than the AMD one. We are going to start with CS2, using same settings, which is 1080p low with FSR balanced. We do see a 100 FPS average and 63 FPS 1% low from the DAS2 benchmark. That means 83% increase comparing to already overclocked AMD setup. This truly shows how limiting the FM2 socket really is. Next up, we have War Thunder. Mirroring settings from previous setup, we are running 1080p high settings. This returns us a 64 FPS average, 29 FPS 1% low, and 5 FPS 0.1% low. Those results mean we do fall ever so slightly short of the AMD setup by 9%. However, if I was to say, I think the difference of the map is likely the source of the discrepancy. Third game on our list is Warzone, and this time sadly we weren't able to launch it. At first it once again cried about lack of TPM 2.0 and I thought, well, it will just launch like it did prior, but it looks like it was finally enforced by Activision. There was also a massive 111GB update between when I tested AMD and Intel setup, so this one is sadly off the sheets. Following that, I tried running Fortnite, and here I got pleasantly surprised. It ran an average of 78 FPS, 3 FPS 1% low, and 0.8 FPS for 0.1% low. There were some stutters, but still I think it was decent enough for a game or two. I'm sure with just a second RAM stick and an SSD this would be much better. Comparing to AMD setup, we do see an improvement of 45% to our averages, a stark difference. Cyberpunk proved Intel's superiority once again. In the same 720p low settings with FSR 3 set to quality, we achieved 44 FPS via the built-in benchmark. There was however more stutter than with the AMD setup strangely, as our 1% and 0.1% figures were 3 and 1.5 respectively. Those results mean that the average FPS rose by 35% however over the AMD setup. Moving on, we have GTA 5 Legacy. Using the same 1080p resolution with high settings and max sliders, we do see 65 FPS average, 40 FPS 1% low, and 29 FPS 0.1% low. Crucially, we do not see any asset loading issues whatsoever. Comparing to the overclocked AMD setup, we do see an improvement of 71% to our averages. GTA Online is sadly not gonna be an apples to apples comparison, but I'm pleased to report it ran decently. Our average reached 47 FPS, 32 FPS 1% low and 15 FPS 0.1% low. This was all achieved in a 21 player lobby. This means the Intel setup offered an average 65% more frames. Wrapping up our gaming benchmarks, we have Rocket League. Using same 1080p highest settings with FXAA on high, I played a 4v4 game. We averaged 124 FPS with 1% low at 39 FPS and 0.1% low at 21 FPS. This leaves us with an improvement of 25% to the averages when comparing to AMD setup. In the synthetic benchmarks, we do not see a big deal of difference because they do mainly spare the CPU, but regardless, here we go, starting with Unigine Heaven, which gave us 1220 points, which is technically 3 points shy of the AMD setup, but realistically within margin of error. After that, we run Unigine Superposition. With 1080p Extreme preset, we achieved 891 points. This time it is 3 points higher, but once again within margin of error. In Firestrike, we have a total system score of 4,549 points, 5,112 points GPU score and 7,042 points CPU score. This means we see an improvement of 5% to our total system score and 42% to our CPU score. Lastly, in the TimeSpy benchmark, we achieved 1,538 points for our total system score, 1,421 points for our GPU score and 2,905 points for our CPU score. This correlates to 4% improvement in the total system score and 57% to our CPU score. When averaging these gaming results, we do see that across the entire benchmark suite, the Intel setup offered 45% better performance on its own compared to already overclocked AMD results. This is definitely a fantastic improvement and just goes to show how much more value can you get out of the Intel old setups. To sum it up, this setup is actually quite competent. If you wanted to get a PC going but don't want to go the new route, for now I think this is a decent path. Sure, upgrade path is really limited, with really only i7-4770 being a possible upgrade, but for the price it's really not half bad. The big plus as well is that it runs on the DDR3 memory, which is unaffected by the recent price hikes, so in my honest opinion it's a great system just to get you by, hopefully just a few months, to a better priced system. The 750 Ti will earn its own video soon, but first we will have a look at these AMD and Intel setups with a bit more fleshed out specs, more RAM and better GPU to see how far can we really push it. That's about as much as I prepared for us today. Feel free to comment down below your experience with a Haswell setup, or maybe if you're still rocking one now. It's always nice to get a different look on these. Thank you for watching if you've made it this far, and have an amazing day.